Oh, broads, you know that I had to come on and chat with you before this episode started. Okay, so how do I explain this? Becca and I recorded this a few days ago when the big news, which I'm sure most all of you know in reference to the Bachelorette, was not yet confirmed. It was just speculation. So Becca and I talk for quite a long bit about it during this episode. But in this episode, we do give a warning, letting you know that we will be talking about it because we didn't want to make anyone feel spoiled if they were trying to avoid anything. So we will give in the episode notes the time when we do talk about it. But when we were recording, it was still not confirmed. It was just speculation. So enjoy us speculating. But I had to hop on here and just celebrate. I cannot believe it. I am so excited. I think probably moving forward, we will be talking about it openly since it is confirmed and it is everywhere now. But we did put a poll in our Instagram asking if you consider this to be a spoiler, even though it's worldwide news now. We just want to be sensitive. We want all of our broads to not feel like their viewing is disturbed in any way. So just wanted to say that we're so excited. And yes, we know it's now official, but you're listening to us from a few days ago. Let's get into it, broads.
And welcome to another episode of Chatty Broads with Becca and Jess.
I mean, broads, I don't even know how to be right now because I am sitting next to Becca in the flesh.
We're almost 6 feet apart.
We're almost 6 feet apart, but don't worry, broads. Listen, testing has happened. We're good. Both you and I have not seen anyone. We've been very intense about it.
Not really. I've seen family, and that's about it.
I mean, same over here. So it's literally like, well, our circle is extended a little bit for the broad squad.
Apparently, you were telling me a bunch of other people have been recording in person, which is interesting.
Yeah, pretty much everyone has, I think.
Wow.
So, wow, excuse me. But, you know, broads continue to be safe, wear those masks. But here we are, and
I'm so excited.
Me too. There's something about Zoom that you just...
The energy is not there.
The energy's not there. Also, it's so hard not to be interrupting every 5 seconds because the internet's behind. So you're like,
that's true.
Hello? What? You're like talking over each other.
True. Also, the glitches. Also, the technical issues we've been having. You guys have not seen any of that.
No. And the internet can be brutal sometimes. Sometimes the internet is not in your favor.
I kind of feel like I've become a master at Zoom connecting, though, to people. Not me personally, but I just feel like I've become really comfortable with like connecting on a more intimate level with people via Zoom. It's interesting.
I agree. Well, our guests are going to continue to be Zoom. So luckily, you know.
We're pros with that.
We're pros. We have that in the bag. Speaking of guests, we will be joined in like 20 minutes by
none other than
Nick Viall, friend of the show. We have
friend of the broads.
Friend of the broads. We have some catching up with him to do.
I'm excited. I want to talk to him about. We have to talk to him about the Reality Steve stuff since we've sort of teased it before.
We have to talk about the Reality Steve stuff. I finally listened to the episode.
I didn't, but I read reviews about it. So does that count? But also he has a really exciting project that he's going to be sharing with us, which I think is, I'm pretty excited.
I'm super stoked for it. From what we've seen, it's fantastic. So he's going to talk about that. Also, yes, is this technically a recap on Allie's season? Sure, that's what it was supposed to be.
Yes.
But some shit has hit the fan.
Okay. Wait, before I do have to tell you one thing about Allie's season, even if we touch nothing else, I have to talk about Casey. Just
you
for
mean
like
that
a couple
Casey's
minutes.
from Clovis?
Oh, I'm talking about my homeboy from from Clovis.
Do you know Casey?
Okay.
Has Casey promised to guard and protect your heart?
So this was my first season ever watching The Bachelor. It was watching Allie's season.
Okay.
And yes, I was like, this guy's from Clovis. What the fuck? What a weirdo. Like that did not.
I will tell you this. I watched that season with my best girlfriend who I was living with at the time. And I don't think I've ever laughed harder in any Bachelor season ever than the scene when when Casey sang to her.
Oh.
I don't think I've ever laughed harder in my life, nor felt more uncomfortable.
The poor thing. She had him and the other guy singing to her as well.
Oh, you mean the weatherman?
Oh.
Who reminded me of Nick Cage. He was always like, I'm the weatherman.
He reminds me of the weatherman and then also some cartoon character. I'm not sure who. But
he seems like something from a Family Guy episode a little bit.
But yeah, Casey, oh my God. I was laughing so hard watching when they left him on the glacier. Anyway, that's beside the point. I just wanted to tell you that before. So one, I would always see him at my church. Shout out to the Well.
Oh, wait, so you actually did see him.
Oh, yeah. And then get this. So he was, this is hilarious. One of the girls that I was in theater with, he's like a good family friend of theirs. So we had something called the Danny Awards, which is sort of like the Oscar Awards, where we do like all the schools in the school district would have like theater awards for like best actress, whatever.
Okay.
And she took him as her red carpet date. Of course, that bitch. But just kidding.
Trying to one up everyone.
I don't really
with
know
her
her that well, but yeah, it was like
boyfriend.
a celebrity date. And I saw him there, and like after I, for some reason, had flowers or a rose or something, and I went up to him and I said, "Will you accept?" I did this like before I was on The Bachelor. Yeah, I was one of those people who went up and I said, "Will you accept this rose?" And he was like, "Yes, ha ha ha." And now I look back at that and I kind of cringe because I'm like, "Oh dear God, I would hate if someone did that to me."
Well,
and then I took a picture with him, but I wish I could find the picture.
Oh, you have to find the photo.
I'm sure it's on Facebook somewhere.
It makes me feel better though, because he did say in his interview with Chris Harrison that the first night that he met that he went out with his girlfriend, that people were asking for photos. And I was like, you wish, Casey. Well, I guess
in Clovis, big deal, buddy. Big deal. Anyway,
Huge deal.
I have a photo with him. So I just wanted to share that.
I'm like absolutely obsessed with him. And since I watched it, I can't stop thinking about him.
Oh, Jess, I'm sorry. The fact that he got his wedding date tattooed. Do
you know how mad I would be?
I'd be livid.
I'm like, are you joking?
You got this for your reality TV girlfriend.
Fine. Keep your damn tattoo. Keep your damn garden protect your heart tattoo.
On the wedding date.
And it was like not even like centered. It looked like he like went quickly and just got someone to just add on.
Also, I
fuming.
remember I was talking to the producer who took him to get the tattoo done. And I was just like, what a producer's dream. He's like, I want to get a tattoo for Allie. And I remember the producer said it was the only shop open at that time. I'm sure it was 1 a.m. And I'm sure he was like, yep, Casey, we're going to find a tattoo parlor right now. Let's get this going.
He's just praying that someone like Casey falls into his hands. Can you imagine going on the show? I know that people have done many let me sing a song for you, let me write an original song for you. Never in my life that I can recall on The Bachelor has someone so seriously sang an impromptu original and been like, you inspire me. It just comes to me.
It came to me.
And at the very end, at the end of the episode, they showed another scene where he did it again. Like he did this on a frequent basis. He would be inspired by Allie and sing these songs.
This improv song.
On the other side of the mirror, on the beaches in California.
With like a Shania Twain little kick to it. California.
Yeah, with his on the beaches of California.
He does kind of talk like that.
Yeah, he's got little Kermit Frog, the frog voice.
Oh boy.
Okay, broads, let's pause for a second. But oh my gosh, I am so excited. I just can't believe you all know that this is what I was just hoping for when they initially were announcing The Bachelorette. Oh my gosh. Oh, I cannot believe it. I can't wait. But let's talk about something else that I'm very passionate about and also very excited to talk about. So living in Los Angeles is so much fun if you're a foodie. And when I say foodie, what I mean is I can't cook. So it's helpful to have all these amazing restaurants and cuisines available. And they're basically limitless around Los Angeles. And if I'm craving authentic Mexican food or fresh sushi or flavorful Indian food, there's dozens of options within just a few miles for me to choose from. And thanks to Postmates, oh my goodness, that hasn't had to change. Even with all the current restrictions in place, I can still get all my favorites delivered to my door in no time at all. Listen, Postmates makes it so easy to not only get the food you're craving delivered right to your door, but it makes it really easy to support local businesses. Broads, right now especially, it's important to support your local community and small business owners. And why not do it using Postmates? For my family, it's been an easy way to show some love to our favorite small family-owned restaurants that have served our community for so long. So many amazing family-owned restaurants that we love, and we get to support them through Postmates right now. Or maybe you're a longtime Postmates user for things like lunch and dinner, but did you also know they make all aspects of life super convenient by offering deliveries on essentials that you need. These essentials from stores like Walgreens and 7-Eleven. And of course, Postmates offers 100% no contact delivery options, so you can feel super safe no matter what you're ordering. Just download Postmates on iOS or Android, find your favorites, and get anything you want delivered within the hour. Postmates is just part of my daily life. I adore them. I can't say that more. So, for a limited time, Postmates is giving our listeners $100 of free delivery credit for your first 7 days. Yes, $100. To start your free deliveries, download the app and use code CHATTY. That's code CHATTY for $100 of free delivery credit for your first 7 days when you download the Postmates app. Anything you need, anytime you need it, Postmate it, broads. All right, strange transition, but when was the last time that you cried at something beautiful? Crying gets a bad rap, but seriously, don't discount a good cry at something that moves you. You know what I'm talking about. Like, for example, I just recently finished listening to Michelle Obama's book, Becoming, narrated by Michelle Obama herself. And my God, did I cry? Did I cry buckets? I'll be honest. A beautiful story that took on a new life when read by the author, which, by the way, is now my new favorite way to listen to audiobooks. Thankfully, with my Audible membership, there's no shortage of great audiobooks with author narration to choose from, and you can get that full access at audible.com/chatty or by texting chatty to 500. Audible is the leading provider of spoken word entertainment and audiobooks ranging from celebrity memoirs, news, business, and self-development. And broads, I'll just say this. There's not even close to enough time right now to fully describe everything Audible has to offer. But just to give you a glimpse, not only do they have thousands of popular book titles, they also have things like guided meditation, programs to help you sleep, theatrical performances, which are so fun, comedy specials, which I love, and so much more. Okay, so one of the coolest ways I've been utilizing Audible during quarantine is by letting my daughter pick out a book that she wants to listen to, and together we all draw pictures of what we think the characters look like as we listen. She has had so much fun doing it, and I love that it's something creative and engaging that we can do as a family, and it's very fun to see what her little imagination has come up with. Way more imaginative than me, my goodness. And if you do have kiddos at home, Audible has created something extra special to keep little minds learning while they're away from the classroom. You can check out stories.audible.com to stream hundreds of titles for free. No strings attached at all, available as long as quarantine lasts. This is not on their main site, just FYI. This is stories.audible.com. But like we were saying, if you're looking for full access to Audible content library, visit audible.com/chatty or text chatty to 500 to get started today. Again, that's audible.com/chatty and text code chatty to 500 today to gain access to the complete Audible content library. Let's get back into it.
Okay, well, before we have Nick on, we need to start diving into this stuff. Disclaimer.
Okay. We have a big disclaimer, and here's the thing. Broads, you know we try to be as spoiler-free as possible, but this is just too big, and so many people have messaged us about it, and this almost to me goes beyond a spoiler because it's potentially about to change everything about this season. But if you want absolutely no spoilers, I'm sure you've seen this at some point online. So like,
maybe
and I'm
not.
sure
Some people aren't as deep into the Bachelor world.
I think that the Bachelor is probably going to announce this at some point, though.
Maybe.
But anyways, if you want to skip this, in the episode notes, stop the recording right now. Look in the episode notes. They're attached to the description. It's the description, whatever. We will put the time when we are starting to talk about this and when we are stopping, because we're probably going to talk about this for a minute. And let's be real, once Nick goes on, we'll probably mention it too. So look at that if you want to skip completely. But
this isn't like a spoiler about if you're on the fence.
Yeah.
it's not necessarily a spoiler about like who she picks or
no. We are going to now. There could
just be a big twist in the.
There are names that are floating around. We will not include, even though I know
too.
Okay. We will not include any of the names of any men. Okay. So if you are still trying to stay a little spoiler free, this is just going to be the overall picture of what's going on. So
you watched Reality Steve's live.
I did watch Reality Steve's live.
Basically,
I can't believe this.
I can though.
I can't, but you know, it's like it's just crazy.
Basically, it seems like Claire has legit like shut down production. Like, I'm in love. I'm not going any further. Which of course she has.
Which, by the way, I don't know if you all watched our Mystic Michaela podcast episode, but Mystic Michaela, who reads Aura Colors, said Claire is a rare color, which is pink. And she said it's the Cinderella story.
Fast.
She is the type of person who's going to find the person right away and like run away with them. And she fucking nailed it.
Did she really say
yeah.
that? Holy shit.
I mean, if that's what happened, because it's still
that's
not
what they're saying.
That's the theory right now. So.
And there is a specific name floating around about who it is.
Yes, which is crazy. But so basically what the breakdown is that they're saying that it seems like she's found someone, but the other piece of it is that she is being difficult on set. So there's two theories as to why production may be ending with Claire. One, she found her person. And she's like, no more. I'm not filming anymore.
I can see her being very stubborn about
Very stubborn. Or two, she's been super difficult on set and they don't want to deal with it.
This.
But Reality Steve brought up a few good points. He did a live. He said, to play the devil's advocate for both. Okay. Number one, he said how many leads have found their person super early on, but they've have all these contracts signed. And so they have to keep going, right? Sure. Or second, how many leads have been unbelievably difficult? Juan Pablo, and yet they continue to move forward, recording or filming with them. And also the added piece that this is already such a difficult season anyways. They're having to quarantine people. Like, it would be so much more complicated than a typical season. And they've had rough leads before. So those are the two devil's advocate pieces. But what we do know, and what has been pretty much like 99.999% confirmed, and I'm tingling.
This is crazy.
Is that Tayshia is now out there.
Bro, I have to go check because I remember when I checked the update, they were saying that they had her like in quarantine there and that they were going to take her phone last Friday. So I'm going to see if she's been on.
During the reality, well, here's the thing though.
Oh, okay.
During the Reality Steve live, Demi hopped on and he was asking what she knew. And she's like, well, all I know is that I've tried to text her and call her and it goes like the green pops up. Her phone is not accepting. So her phone's off. Okay. Which is like, yeah, she's filming.
Yeah, she hasn't posted any stories. Oh, exciting.
I can't believe it. So the question is, what the hell? First of all, of course we were very excited about Claire, but from day one, Mama was really hoping it was going to be Tayshia.
I know.
And so I'm
excited for it too.
And also we were talking during the cast, when we were going over the cast photos, these men are way more age appropriate for Tayshia.
True. That's true. This will really... Okay, this is another thing, though. Apparently, Reality Steve reported, I believe, that they called some of the guys that had been not chosen. I don't know if that makes sense. There's always like sort of the final round of casting, and there's the guys that end up not getting picked. Apparently, a number of those guys have been called back on, which means that they're trying to get a full cast together for a new season, it seems.
Yes. Or like are they bringing back guys that because Claire...
I know this is interesting. They just keep on some of the guys that were already there, like macking with Claire. The guys who are already saying like, I'm so excited it's Claire. I'm upset. I can't wait to fall in love with her. And then now they just got to do a 180.
What are they going to do? Also,
I don't know.
Also, like, think about how dramatic that was when they had Caitlyn and Britt start the season together during Caitlyn's season, and the men, some of them were into Britt, and it was already awkward enough. Imagine if these guys have been macking with Claire.
I know.
Also, the reality Steve threw out a couple other like thoughts.
Okay.
What if Claire stays during filming? What if she's so into this one guy and is like, there's no point in moving forward, but they're like, all right, well, we're going to bring in another Bachelorette. And I guess they did something like that for a Bachelor New Zealand season.
Okay.
He doesn't think so. He thinks Claire is going to be gone.
Wait, so what? How would that?
So they would basically continue filming together with all the guys, but like Claire's basically like, yeah, I think I've chosen my
Claire's
person.
just in the cabana with the one guy as Tayshia's dating the other like around her.
I guess. I don't know.
Bizarre.
Weird, but he doesn't think that's
No.
what it is. But now the conversation is, do we start like when we're watching the season, they've been promoting the shit out of Claire for months and months now. So are they going to make it into one long episode? Her first, like, what would have been 4 episodes? Or are we going to see 4 episodes of Claire and then, like, 5 episodes of Tayshia?
What I would assume, for the reason, like I was saying, I'm sure some of the guys will be double casted onto Tayshia's season.
Sure.
And I'm sure they don't want to make it look awful by having the guys be like, Claire is a dreamboat. I can see myself spending the rest of my life with her, and then turning around and being on Tayshia's season.
True.
I'm sure it'll be like one episode where they're just like, where they show Claire's love story with the guy she ends up picking and kind of exclude everything else.
Don't show the other guys. Well, I'm going to say this right now, and I'm not going to throw out any names because I don't want to spoil anything. But one of my personal favorites when we were going through the cast bios apparently got sent home quite quickly by Claire.
Uh-huh.
And I'll tell you when we're off. But he's getting brought back. And I am putting my money on him and Tayshia. I'm putting my money on it. And I'm so excited. This is just also unprecedented. Number one, we're living in the Corona times. And so this whole thing is going to be trippy. Oh, and another interesting point that Steve brought up is that because everything is taking place in one location, he was saying how normally if Claire would have found, if a lead would have found someone right away and been like, I don't want to film anymore, I found my person, they'd be like, you're staying because we already have this whole thing planned out. You've signed contracts to stay for 11 episodes or whatever. But he was saying since this season probably is lacking certain amount of twists and turns because they're in one location.
They're like, all right, let her go.
Yeah, they may be like, hey, all right, this is going to add a crazy spin to it.
Oh, also give the little inside scoop you had too, though, through Evan's.
Yes. Okay. So I can't reveal like specifically what it is because I don't want him to get in trouble.
Okay. Basically, talent that was booked.
Yes, that talent that was booked that received a call yesterday and was canceled on. And I'll say this, the artist was large enough that I was like, I don't know why they would cancel on this person unless they're drastically changing something. And the talent, by the way, was very confused.
Dude, Bachelor
they didn't explain it to this person.
Bachelor is so crazy. Imagine like being Tayshia. Imagine, I felt this way with Claire at first. Imagine being Claire, who's been off the show for however long, and then getting a call of, we want you to be the Bachelorette. Maybe I have a shot one day if, something tragic happens to Grayston. Maybe I've got a shot.
You do, honestly. Honestly, at this point.
But imagine being Tayshia. You're just chilling in your apartment, and they're like, we want you to come to Palm Springs and be the Bachelorette. Amazing.
Now, another thought is maybe the response to Claire wasn't great.
From the guys or the people?
No, from the people. Like they were expecting it was going to be, Maddie or Hannah Ann. And they were kind of like, maybe producers were kind of like, okay, geez, the numbers might be lower. And guess what they really need right now during the COVID times? Good fucking numbers.
Which is insane that they didn't do the switcheroo with Maddie or Hannah Ann.
Well, if you think about what's been going on with Batch Diversity campaign, and ABC's been under a lot of heat.
We'll throw in another Black Bachelorette. Yes. I mean, Tayshia's going to be awesome.
Well, she was already on the consideration. It was between her, Kelsey, and Claire, and they went with Claire.
Kelsey,
I know.
bizarre
I think
to
it was
me.
just because of Pete's and she was emotional and kind of had like her arc.
Okay.
That would have been, oh my God. Can you imagine?
No,
Stuck in
I
La
don't.
Quinta? It would have been a mess. Sorry, Kelsey.
It's also hilarious that it's called La Quinta because you automatically think of like La Quinta Inn, like
Yes.
AKA that's
actually
the 3-star.
La Quinta Inn in La Quinta.
No, apparently
Surprise.
it's this crazy 5-star resort.
Yes.
I saw a reality Steve
Yes.
posting about that too.
I've actually been there when I was much younger with my family
very nice.
once. It's very nice. You know what I think the biggest reason why they went with it, there's places that are much nicer in Palm Desert, but the grounds are gigantic. So the guys can be in the pool in one area and she can be filming in another area, and it's not like you're bumping into each other constantly.
I mean, they can set up really whatever they want too. I mean, you know, like a concert or like
Yes. Like I said, the grounds are big, and in fact, I think at La Quinta they have an area where people like perform sometimes. Like,
do you think they still get to do things like go to the ocean?
no, they can't leave. Okay, that was the other thing. Reality Steve, actually, it was on Nick's episode with him. Reality Steve brought up that he's like, as much as I can hate on production of the show, I guess they are being like ultra cautious.
I mean, I think they're one of the first shows to really like start filming, so they've gotta.
and he said they like have it like really dimed top to bottom, and it's very like they're being very intense, which is great to
Wow.
hear. Yeah.
It's got to be crazy for producers too, because producers normally, I think, especially when they're still in LA, get to like go home, back and forth with their families. They're stuck there for like almost 2 months.
Can you imagine how mad they probably are right now if they have to now do a full shift? They've been focused on one person and now they're having to like meet in their boardroom. If the reason is because Claire found someone and this wasn't kind of crafted by the producers, like to try to push her into a relationship with someone
No,
because
I'm sure it was her.
I'm assuming. Can you imagine the stress of like the boardroom discussions of like, what are we going to do now? This is already so hard. And now we're going to have to rewire everything.
I mean, the good thing is that that's their twist for the season. That's all they need.
I know, seriously,
They can have
that's
a
all they
happily
need.
ever after boring ending of Tasha. They already had like the
Right?
start of a century.
Right. Well, the last thing that I wanted to mention that Reality Steve did say, which is something to think about, is that Claire was the first contestant ever to know before her season started who her guys were going to be. And so have her and this
You
person
better
been
believe
talking.
me and my whole family and my whole team would be researching top to bottom.
Yeah, and you better believe I would be secretly sliding into DMs of the ones that I think are cutie pies. I'm bored in quarantine. I'm just like, hey.
Why don't we get a head start on this? Let's do a little
So
Zoom call.
maybe her and this person have been talking for a while. And maybe
Oh my
it's like,
God.
no, this is my person. I mean, I wouldn't be, Claire's the type of person, if we remember her on Winter Games, I don't know if you remember her Benoit situation. She was in Winter Games for like maybe a week. She like fell head over heels for one guy who ended up being a complete jerk. And then within like hours, her and Benoit, he was like chasing after her and they got engaged. Like within knowing each other for like 5 days. So even if she wouldn't have been talking to this person before, I could see Claire.
She gave me some serious inside scoop because I hung out with her at like a fundraiser thing. She gave me some serious inside scoop on that Benoit situation. I don't remember any of it. Unfortunately, I wish I did remember it.
The Benoit scoop?
Yeah, it was either that she didn't actually think he was going to propose, or that he was like fully in it, and then right after he was like, no, I don't want to be engaged. It was either one or the other. Either
Oh my
she was like
God.
blindsided.
That is a big difference.
I don't remember, but I remember her just being like, oh, girl, you have no idea. She's really fun to hang out with.
I mean, I've only really heard lovely things,
She's nice.
but
I can so see her though being like, no, he is it. Like, I am not going forward.
well, especially since again, we'll remember like Claire is older. If she feels like she found someone, I'd be like, no. But also, Claire, like, what if this guy who she's set her sights on is like actually like he's going along with it, but is like, fuck, I wanted to be on like this full season of The Bachelorette. And I wanted to get famous. And now you're just
real shit. Real shit. They don't even have a, oh my God. I didn't even think about that.
I'm just picturing him being like, are you sure you don't want to stay? Like, it's not going to hurt my feelings if you explore other options. And her being like, no, we found each other. Let's run away together. And him being like, well, maybe you should get to know a few other people.
You know, I'll bite my tongue. I was going to say, it's only going to last X and X long, but we don't know.
We don't know, but I would
imagine. Isn't she the oldest contestant ever? I mean, oldest lead ever? I think so.
Even more so than some of the guys?
Maybe not ever.
She's definitely the oldest female contestant.
Wasn't Nick the oldest ever?
No.
We'll ask him. Maybe not.
No, wasn't it
I'm gonna
Ari?
look it up. No, Ari was actually younger than Nick, technically. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, wow. Nick ages well.
Let me look up oldest Bachelor contestant ever. When is he going to hop on, by the way?
I was going to say, actually, let's hop on the Zoom right now. And we're going to dive into a conversation with Nick. Maybe we'll get a few of...
Byron. Sorry. The oldest Bachelor ever was Byron Velvick.
Never heard of the man. Never heard of him. Season 6. By the way, also the oldest sounding name I've ever heard.
Byron Velvick.
It wasn't like Brad or Jake. It was like, of course, the oldest one ever is Byron.
He was 40 though, so which is the same age as Claire.
Okay, wow.
So she's one of the oldest leads ever.
Crazy.
That's hilarious. This article I looked up is like, no, Ari Lyondike is not the oldest Bachelor ever. Poor Ari.
Oh, poor Ari.
Just because he had the gray hair.
Grayest. All these gray shamers.
I love it. Okay.
I love. Listen,
he was only 36. He wasn't even that old.
Oh my gosh.
They made such a big deal out of that.
Poor Ari. Well,
poor me.
Poor me. I wish I would have been on the same season as Byron.
No, it would have been even worse. They would have been like, she is prepubescent in comparison to him.
All right. Should we hop on with Nick?
Oh, yeah. All right. If he's ready, let's go.
Hi, Nick.
Hi. If you're watching the video, I have a sleeveless shirt on. Snoop Dogg.
Yes, you do. I mean, it is a warm day in Los Angeles.
That's not why. I've just given up.
All right.
Everything's really taking it out of you. You've had a rough few weeks.
No, I mean, it's been fine. I put an offer on a house, so that's, we'll see.
Okay, where?
Address? Give us the exact address and location, please.
East Side.
Oh,
East side
fun.
Oh, okay. All right.
So definitely closer to you, Jess.
I was going to say, next time,
Los Feliz?
Becca's going to start throwing it out.
Echo Park?
I mean, I'll tell you guys later.
Okay, fine. Well, we were just actually talking about you don't know what's going on with the Claire stuff?
I caught wind of it late last night. I don't know much, but sounds wild.
What have you heard?
I just heard that maybe she might not be the Bachelorette anymore, and that maybe they asked Tayshia.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, and it's.
But what is this? Do you have any inside information, or are we all just learning it from the same rumor mill?
Well, there's been a few things that have been confirmed. I do have one inside informer. I do. And apparently an artist who was supposed to be performing.
Formerly known as Prince,
was coming back in a hologram and performing for them. And that person was called yesterday and canceled on.
Very
abruptly with no explanation as to why. And it was a bigger artist who I would be surprised that they would just randomly cancel on.
Sure. And so canceled. Wow.
No,
and
it's just...
I will say I did talk to someone today who was a Bachelor alumni who was supposed to, as often they do, bring people out for like a date. And they got canceled on.
Well, and Jess was saying that that Demi was on Reality Steve's live, and Demi was saying that all her texts to Tayshia are like going green. Like her phone's off.
Okay, well...
And it's confirmed that Tayshia is out there
in Palm Springs,
La Quinta.
La Quinta.
I mean, that's wild. It
is wild, right?
I don't know.
You're disappointed?
Well, I was looking forward to a season of Claire. I
Me
mean, you
too.
cast a 39-year-old woman, which I thought was just a really cool
I think she's
change
40
of pace.
now.
Okay, even like
Yeah.
whatever. I'm just saying like it was different, you know?
Yeah, I
And
agree.
I think that would have been really interesting. Like it was because I also like people often in this day and age, it's not uncommon for people to be single and looking for love in their 30s
Yeah.
or late 30s, you know, and I thought that'd be really cool. But
Agree.
if this happened, then Claire really, I don't know.
Well, what
Really
we were
messed
saying
up.
is like the thing that is interesting is that if Tayshia becomes the Bachelorette, then they have a lot of age appropriate guys for her, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, what Tayshia's what, in her early 30s?
Yeah, I think so.
30?
30? I think 30.
Yeah, so that will be fine. I mean, it's just like there's too much unknown right now to I mean, it's such a shit show. What do they do? Do they just start over? Do they
That's exactly what we were talking about.
do
and,
they-
and how
do
do
they
they
share-
present the parts of
do
Claire's
they
season?
share
Yeah.
this breakdown? They've invested so much in like promoting Claire.
Yeah, that's exactly what Jess was just saying.
I was just like, they've been promoting the shit out of her. It seems like if Tayshia is the new Bachelorette, I would assume that the franchise is going to start promoting her soon, just not act like it's I mean, who knows, but like that it's continuing to be Claire's season.
It's and then it's just like we picked Tayshia. I mean, I feel bad for Tayshia in that regard because it's like such a because you can't ignore it. You know, you can't be like we changed our mind. Everyone, like not everyone, not every person that's a Bachelor fan listens to the Bachelor podcast and reads Reddits and listens to the spoilers, but it's like they announced Claire, and then you had this whole thing of quarantine of knowing it was Claire, and because it was a unique casting, you know, given that she's older, was cool and exciting for a lot of people. So you can't just ignore it. You can't be like, we changed our mind. It's not like they were planning on casting Peter for Ari's season or planning on casting Luke for my season and changed their mind, but nothing was announced, you know?
Yeah.
They started filming.
So why do you think that they wouldn't switch to someone like, I'm just wondering if you have a personal opinion on why they wouldn't put Maddie or Hannah Ann in as the lead instead of like Tayshia?
I have no idea. I mean, who knows? Well, my guess, if I had to guess, I think there's a reason why Maddie and Hannah Ann weren't considered for this season regardless. You know, when I've known nothing, but I think they wanted to get older, you know. Tayshia's still 30, right? Yeah.
Which is probably
also,
older than the average Bachelorette.
True.
Yes.
So.
And I mean, like this, obviously this going on is unprecedented. So like clearly they're making these decisions on the fly.
I mean, we might have a very quick romantic, like a quick love story, because if she found her person that quickly and that's why she's leaving, they might make it a 4-episode arc where she passionately falls in love.
No, because I mean, the obvious guess is right that if the reason why she left is because there's a guy that she's just like, which still seems, if that is the case, then really disappointed in Claire for a number of reasons. But the assumption is right. She's been DMing this guy, who knows? Like the whole what Caitlin and I did when I decided to come on, without planning on coming on. That's a different situation. But that building this kind of romance,
sure.
Then I'm so disappointed in her on so many levels. One, she had a responsibility as a Bachelorette not to do that. And again, different than like Caitlin talking to me who like it developed as a friend. Like she was talking to this guy who was casted for her season that she knew was coming on to meet her. She shouldn't have indulged in that. And if she's going to do that, fine. Then you do have a job as the Bachelorette. Like, you know, there is a role there. There is TV. There are people's jobs. Like there's a whole, like hundreds of people work to make that show and she was given an opportunity, you know, and to like dismiss that is it's a bunch of, if that is the case, I'm disappointed.
What do you think about the fear though? Like the fear of having your relationship fucked with someone that you actually want to spend the rest of your life with. Like you being the lead. What do you think about that?
And fearness, but if this is the case, and we're making a lot of assumptions,
Sure.
this is all based
on rumors.
This relationship was made because of her being cast as the Bachelorette. She wouldn't have known this, she wouldn't know this guy would exist if it weren't for that in that case. It would if that is the case, it would be insanely selfish of her to because like listen, regardless if she started talking to this guy early and fell in love with him, every Bachelor and Bachelorette before her develops a really early connection. I shouldn't say every, I don't know, but the vast majority of leads have one or two they like, and usually it is just one. I was gung-ho about Vanessa early on. Talking to Ben, he was gung-ho about Lauren. JoJo with Jordan. Like, we liked other people, and certainly you go through the process, but there's always that one person you're like, I could probably end this now if I wanted to or could.
I don't think that was the case with Ari. I think you might have been the one exception. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, but there are exceptions, right? But like, so if that's the case, and there's a fear that like I had a lot of fear about being the Bachelor at the risk of Vanessa saying, screw this, I'm going to leave but they pay you. It's an amazing opportunity. It's not just about love being the lead. There is a responsibility. You're carrying the show, and you like to be righteous and say, well, I just came here for love and I found love, so I'm going to leave now. That is, it's fine as a cast member, but it's different as the lead, and it's selfish to a lot of people. She could have said no to the opportunity. She was removed. Like again, we're making a lot of assumptions. We don't know what happened. Maybe Claire's sick. I don't know. And there's all these other rumors.
Well, recording.
Well, her mom, has been struggling, like illness wise for a while.
Yeah, so maybe there's that. So I don't want to make too many like.
Yeah, that's true. If one of my family members is dying, I'd be like, fuck this, I'm out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm basing this off the rumor of if Claire just decided to leave because she liked someone. Sure. That would seem so hard to believe, but who knows? I mean, I feel like
it's not for her.
The little bit I know about Claire is that she, and which why I thought she'd be a very interesting Bachelorette. Claire does what Claire wants to do, and she is capable of it. Yeah. Well, she potentially just made this season a whole lot more interesting in certain dynamics. True. I mean, whether we like it or not, look, it's gonna add a crazy spin to it.
Tayshia's gonna be great.
Oh, I was hoping it was. I was hoping it was gonna be Tayshia.
I love Tayshia on. She was really good on Paradise.
She was fantastic on Paradise.
I think she'll be good at like calling, I don't know, calling the guys out and doing that whole thing. If it is Tayshia, I wish her luck, and I hope that she has a great season, and it'll be interesting. She'll be in a tough position as well. I mean, what would you feel like? I'd be fucking stoked. I wouldn't give a fuck if they called me the first choice, 10th choice, 20 years later. I'd be like, let's go. This is gonna be great. I would come in rolling with like definitely a chip on my shoulder, because I'd be a little bit like, fuck you, but I'd also be like, thank you so much for making my quarantine not so boring. I would be kissing everyone's hand. I'd be like, thank you, thank you, thank you. I think Becca has the approach. I hope Tayshia has that approach, because that's probably the best way to go, but it would be hard to do, right? But yeah, you'd feel a little bit like, well, fuck you, you didn't choose me initially. But again, because of the corona times. You guys would both be a little pissed at it. I would not give a flying fuck. I'd be irritated a little bit. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what I would do. I agree with Becca. I'd be like, yes. Listen, yes. Here's what I would say. If I was gonna say yes, I would have the Becca approach. Like, and I'm like, if you want to say no, rather than Jess rolling in, she's like, no, I'd be like, well, because this is why these men
have already experienced time with Claire, and I'm supposed to now just hop in, and they're like,
no,
well,
I get that. It's not an ideal situation.
Yeah.
It's not an ideal situation, but if you're going to say yes, you can't say yes and then have a chip on your shoulder.
I would definitely, I see what you're saying though. I would have an attitude with the guys where I would be like, okay, were you just telling her that she was the love of your life and now you're just going to turn around and tell me that you're into me?
I get it, and she can do that, and in a real life situation, I get it, but I get this is the Bachelorette.
Right.
I mean, everyone, like, come on. I mean,
but that will make an interesting dynamic to the show of her questioning. You know,
she'll be questioning for sure, but also
what if they're doing cuts back and forth to the guy on Claire's season, like saying something and then saying the same thing on Tayshia's? Like, what if they're doing that?
Who knows? I mean, who knows what they're going to do? They could, I mean, really, who knows? I'm really just curious to see how they handle it. If it's, I mean, I
was already curious because they were staying in one place. You know, I was like, the season's going to be crazy. What's it going to look like to be on one resort for the whole season?
I mean, it's like, I can't believe we're even having this conversation, but I mean, Claire was capable of anything. And I think that's why she became the Bachelorette. It's just really
Claire
proved us right.
Claire is very on brand for 2020. Just really throwing it.
I mean, right?
Seriously.
All right. Just mixing shit up.
I don't know. I mean, but I do hope, regardless, that she's okay or her mom's okay, and this is not because of any
family emergency situation.
Yeah. So I don't know. And if it is Tayshia, then I wish her well, and I hope she saves the season.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Just please keep putting out episodes because we need something to recap. That's all I care about. Hey, Broad. So in general, I like to think of myself as a pretty relaxed person. My family may disagree with that statement, but as far as I'm concerned, I am overall a fairly easygoing human. However, I do suffer from anxiety from time to time. In the last 6 months, it seems to have gotten worse. Surprise, surprise. I wonder if anyone else feels that way. The real issue for me is that when that anxiety affects my ability to sleep, that's just the doozy. And when that happens, the only thing that can get me to calm down these days and dream peacefully is my Feels Premium CBD. Feels CBD is really the only product that consistently helps me fall asleep if that anxiety is keeping me up at night these days. And if you've never used CBD before, let me just start off by saying Feels CBD Hotline is there to make the whole process easier. It can be a little foreign and new to figure out your correct dosage, but they're always available to help you. And I'm talking any questions you have. They're so helpful and wonderful over at that Feels CBD Hotline. So definitely check that out if you have any questions. But when anxiety or chronic pain hits you, or you have trouble falling asleep, all you need to do is place a few drops under your tongue, and within minutes, you'll begin to feel the difference. Feels works naturally to help you feel better, and because of that, there's no high, no hangover or addiction. And as if feeling better wasn't easy enough with Feels, when you sign up for the Feels membership, you'll get premium CBD delivered to your door every month, plus score additional savings on every order. And by the way, check out their Instagram. The aesthetic is fantastic. Feels has us feeling our best every day, and it can help you too. Become a member today by going to feels.com/chatty, and you'll get 50% off your first order with free shipping. Dang, that's a good deal. That's Feels, FEALS.com, not FEELS. Feels, FEALS.com/chatty. to become a member and get 50% automatically taken off your first order with free shipping. Feels.com/chatty. Feel your best, broads. Let's get back into it. Well, speaking of falling in love and The Bachelor, Nick, you are putting out something soon that we're extremely excited about because Becca and I
love it.
It's fantastic. So can you drop the tea for all of the broads, because this is
I'm just pissed I didn't
you.
think of that idea first. No,
I know.
We were kind of talking about that.
I appreciate it. I obviously, as you women know, people like to hear us talking about our thoughts about all things Bachelor or just trashy TV in general. And HBO Max dropped my season along with some of the other seasons of The Bachelor and Bachelorette on HBO Max to stream. And then I had this thought, well, it'd be kind of fun if I like podcasted it, like a recap. You know, the Office ladies have this podcast with The Office, and, you know, some other people are doing it. And I didn't want to do it on the Viall Files because my show on the Viall Files is going in a great direction that I love in terms of like having certain, you know, experts and guests and personalities. And yeah, we're still recapping current Bachelor episodes that are airing on ABC, but that's the extent for me in terms of Bachelor stuff. And so, I was never going to do like a tell-all book or anything like that because it's like, I don't want to do that. And then I thought, well, I'll just recap it. And then I was going to like I was going to ask a bunch of like comedian friends to maybe do it. Then I thought, well, what if I just ask some of the women from my season and get like their perspective? If I'm going to tell all, it seems more accurate to get both sides of the story, so to speak. And I asked a bunch of them and they all said yes. And then we're kind of excited about it. And it was quite a lot of fun. I recorded them all in about a week and a half. I wasn't sure if Vanessa was going to say yes because we hadn't spoken at all in 3 years.
I was curious about that when when you sent that over. I was like,
we've had 0 conversations in 3 years, and
wow.
I DM'd her and asked her, and she wrote back a few days later, and we jumped on a quick call for a few minutes to kind of talk about what we might do, and it was a nice conversation. And then we podcasted about it, and we talk about the breakup and why we were very honest, and it has a nice positive ending, but there was like moments of like tension and it was nice talking to her. But you know, I hadn't really talked to Raven about this. Like Corinne, I hadn't had any conversation.
Yeah,
like none of these women.
Who do you have on? Do you have on basically like all the leading ladies?
All that, like the top 5 women. I haven't recorded with Christina yet. I might have a bonus episode with Christina, but right now she's not in the lineup. But Angela recaps episode 1 with me, so we break it down like episode by episode recap. So Angela, who I sent home night 1, brings
Angela
home.
Was on your season.
Yeah, I sent her home night 1, but I decided to recap with her because it was kind of an interesting story about why I sent her home, and then like I kind of regretted it, and then we talked about it with producers throughout the season. And
wow.
So that was like, she has some kind of like had theories. And so we get into night 1 and that was a lot of fun, even with Angela, just getting her perspective of the whole thing. And I kind of, for the first time, tell her my decision-making process. And then Alexis breaks down episode 2. Alexis, the dolphin. Every time.
Alexa trying to chime in the background.
Yeah. Corinne, episode 3 in the Bouncy Castle. Raven breaks down hometowns and my hometown visit and my first one-on-one. Taylor, the 2-on-1 with Corinne. Jasmine breaks down episode 6, the volleyball date, where everyone went crazy. And the Jasmine episode's amazing. I had a lot of fun with Jasmine because she just has all the tea. Danielle Maltby, episode 7. Rachel breaks down hometowns with me, and then the final one is Vanessa. And I don't really recap. And we kind of, with all the women, we kind of sprinkle in talk about Fantasy Suite episodes, but I don't like have a specific one for the Fantasy Suite episode just because I thought it would be weird to get in too much of the detail without the women on there.
Yeah.
So
just have all 3 of them on. You should have
panel.
You should have just had the 3 of them talk without you about the Fantasy Suite episode.
There'll be a 10th episode for sure. So I'm dropping the first 4 up right now on my page. So I just put it on my Patreon. So I call it like so I'm doing this series where it's Nick V Talks Trash TV. And so it's starting with my season. I'm gonna be recapping other, TV, and I'll get suggestions from, members, and whether it's Vanderpump or, if Tiger King came up now, whatever's trending on Netflix, doesn't matter. I think it's kind of funny, just breaking down analytically from a guy, shows I might not even watch, but
Real Housewives.
Yeah, it's on my Patreon. The link is in my bio. It's $4.99 for audio only, and if you want to get audio and video, it's $5.99 a month, and you get at least 5 episodes a month. The Taylor one's going to drop middle of the month.
pretty good.
So put it this way, it's cheaper than a delicious cup of coffee.
Yeah,
and
it's a bargain.
It's a 10-hour audiobook, a 12-hour audiobook for a. It's cheaper. Audiobooks are like $15.
And you also don't have any ads throughout too. So
there's
that's
no
nice
ads. You just go right through. It turned out a lot. Like I wasn't sure how it would turn out, but it was fun to record with the women. Everyone had a ton of fun. It was like a reunion, and there's, like a bunch of tea, but it's all like, it's 3 years later. So it's all kind of under the vein of no hard feelings and just kind of, it's all very self-deprecating and self-reflecting.
You guys filmed 4 years ago. Almost 4.
It's going on there. Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
I mean, it was while talking to Corinne too. It was like, I really enjoyed my conversation with Corinne. I mean, they were all really fun. They all have their own sprinkle to it. And then obviously the Vanessa one is,
you had a great season. I thought all the girls on your season were just so entertaining, so fun to watch. It was just like all in all, you got pretty lucky with that cast.
Yeah, it was fun to talk about all some behind the scenes and my thought process. I learned some stuff about like what's going on in the house too, because some of the stuff they don't air, and you don't really, as a bachelor, you're not living in the house, right? So that was just it was fun, and kind of telling some of the women like my thought process, and like even like I felt like Corinne like learned a lot that she never realized.
She had a lot of closure.
I think so, and it was. So it was pretty fun. And then, Rachel's was a lot of fun just because, we're good friends. And even then she had like just more to, it's funny when you get going, there's like, oh yeah, and this, and oh yeah, and that. And there's just so many memories that
it's weeks
don't think
and
about.
Weeks, and you're only getting, an hour and a half a week of footage of hours and hours being filmed that's going on.
Totally. But it was a lot of fun for me. I think the women really enjoyed it too. Again, it was kind of therapeutic. And so if you like hot goss and hot tea and Bachelor, I think you will really enjoy it. And then I'll be dropping more recaps about your favorite trash TV in the third month. If you guys want to stick around, and if you don't, you'll get the goods on my season 20. So if you want to, you can go on HBO Max and watch it. You don't have to. You can listen to it without. I just
got an HBO Max subscription actually, and I saw that they were dropping those Bachelor seasons.
I guess I'm gonna have
So if you want to go rewatch it and then listen to the podcast, you can, or watch the videos, or it works on its own. We break it down if you remember. So it's available to stream if you want. Otherwise, just check out mine. And then it's just on my Patreon. Go to my Instagram and you'll find the link for it.
Well, we'll put the link in the episode notes too, Broads. But
we're also going to take your exact idea and probably do it 3 months from now. So
you do it for Ari's season.
I know. I really want to. I feel very nostalgic about it, honestly. I think back and I'm like,
no, you
wow.
should. We'll see. Like I might do it for Andy's season. I might do it for my season of Paradise. We'll see how this goes. Yeah. Right? Like
you should do all of them, because the amount or the early access that Nick gave us, it is extremely entertaining. And I don't know. I think that you should just take this train to the station and just do it all.
We'll see how it goes. I mean, I produced the whole thing on my own and did the whole. It was a lot of work, and it was. A bit of an investment. So I always want to see how people enjoy this before, I think they will, but we'll see. But I'll definitely, because I definitely will talk other TV, but like wrangling up other cast people. And, but I found that people have fun doing it. Like I wasn't sure if the women from my season would want to do it. So.
Oh, I would have been stoked if I was on a season. I get to have an opportunity to like regroup with the lead.
I mean, like you were saying, there's so many memories that you forget. I mean, it's just fun to take a trip down memory lane. Whenever I start talking with one of the girls from my season, it's just like, oh my God. And remember that time when this happened, and like the cameraman fell down the stairs, and like this time when this person got drunk and did it's just fun.
Yeah. And again, it was for a lot, I think a lot of us, therapeutic in a sense that there's so much about being in that world. And I'm sure you can speak to this, Becca, that it's just an intense atmosphere. And, the people have a lot of frustrations with the process sometimes, but because of the high school environment, it's it really messes with your egos and your insecurities. And a lot of it is based off of what people think of you in the house and the drama outside of the show and the status that you feel like you could have or should have or don't have. All these things play into those things. And sometimes when you remove yourself from the show for a couple weeks, or a couple years rather, it's nice to talk about it when you're not personally invested that same way. And it's a much easier and more fun conversation to have. And I think that's kind of how all of us, myself and the women involved, felt about it. Even especially for Vanessa and I don't think we could have had this conversation a year ago or 2 years ago.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking too, during your season, Nick, and your season, Becca, like podcasts weren't really a thing that was happening mainstream. So there's so many people who, like you said, had a few minutes on TV, really, if you put it all together. It's like, no, I had more to say, but they didn't get that opportunity then. Totally. So I'm sure it's...
So, and then ABC is airing my season on the August 31st.
So excited for that.
I'm excited too.
So yeah, the first 4 episodes are out now. My episode with Taylor's dropping in the middle of the month. And then the last, Rachel, Vanessa, Danielle Maltby, Christina possibly, and obviously Vanessa will be dropping September 1st.
Oh, that'll be good.
Right after the GOAT episode. So you'll be able to, if nothing else, review that and then get some in-depth conversations. The Rachel and Vanessa ones are pretty awesome.
I'm looking forward to those.
I know. I can't wait.
I also wanted to talk to you about the whole drama that went down with your Reality Steve episode, because we have thoughts about the situation.
Well, we also were bombarded by people messaging and asking what our thoughts were, and we, wanted to wait and discuss with you as well.
What are my thoughts? I mean, I addressed my thoughts on my podcast the next week. I mean, I think I felt I was fascinated by the
response,
almost the expectation people almost had of me, or it was like, wow, you think I'm like a professional journalist, right?
Well, you were in, what was it, the Times? What
Associated Press.
Okay, Associated. Okay, all right. Yeah.
If I'm gonna,
so there are expectations now, Nick.
If you had to ask. It was listen, like I said in my podcast, it was an interesting lesson, both professionally and personally. And
maybe we should give a brief recap too for people who aren't in on it. Basically, what we were getting asked for our opinions because Nick did an interview with Reality Steve, who does.
I would like to call it. I did a podcast with Reality Steve because it definitely.
He had Reality Steve on as a guest.
A scientific exploration of Reality Steve.
And in case you don't know who Reality Steve is, he basically does the spoilers for reality shows, but then also he does a little bit more. He tries to get the dirt on people and inside scoop on contestants and all that kind of stuff. So Nick had him on the podcast, and basically what happened, I didn't listen, Jess did. I just read the reviews. I was just here to watch things burn, see what people were saying about it. Because we were getting DMs, and I was like, I don't know what's going on with this. And basically, Nick, I mean, you can speak to this yourself, but apparently you went pretty hard in on him, and then people didn't respond well to that.
It depends. Well,
or some people did.
Certainly, his fans did not. That much was clear.
See, I didn't know he had fans. Which is
be careful saying that, Becca. I'm just letting you know right now.
Well, it's interesting because in him,
cut it out, clip it.
In him being someone who
might want to cut that out.
It's interesting because in him being someone who exposes reality TV personalities, he seems to have become a personality in and of himself. Which is kind of fascinating.
Well, we did. No, that was an interesting insight that I learned by having him on. Was I was critical of what he does, right? Mm-hmm. And after listening to it, it sounded like for a group of people, I felt like to them, I was almost attacking them, the fact that they enjoyed what he does.
Okay. That's interesting.
A lot
so
of
people
comments,
were taking it personally.
I like what he does and blah, blah, blah. And which is fine. But some of that was frustrating. Like I said, professionally, I knew I told him what I was going to ask him. It wasn't like, I even called him up. I was like, I don't want this to be a gotcha thing, but if you're going to come on, this is what I want to ask you about. So if you don't want to come on, that's fine, but I want to be upfront.
Okay. So it's not like he was caught off guard.
No, he knew everything. And he even said that. But that being said, usually I go to my podcast kind of like, well, let's just see where it goes. And, whatever, we'll talk. I think for someone who has personally affected my life and caused stress in my life, I probably should have recognized that and either been more prepared to not have him on in that sense. Because I think I made the mistake thinking my audience would want to, and I don't like
Hear
a lot
you
of people
go in
love,
on him.
Yeah, I mean, it was funny because after I did the whole like, well, this is what I would have done differently. Then you get a rush of reviews and people reaching out, be like, I loved it, and blah blah, and it's just like, and then how many. There were definitely what was frustrating is like some of the reviews were clearly like people who had never listened to my podcast who came on because they wanted to hear from his point of view and didn't like that, but whatever. And then, hey, reviews are reviews. It gets buzz going. Here we are still talking about it. But yes, like I got sidetracked and it's like, here, like, we'll just talk about the show and debate it kind of like, if you want to have a point counterpoint, let's just debate the show, which big mistake on my part, because again, what I realized, there's a lot of people, especially the fans of reality Steve, and he has fans. They hate watch The Bachelor. That's why they like The Bachelor.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
And a lot of people like watching that, trash TV in that sense. So here
I definitely didn't view The Bachelor so seriously until I was on it. And then I realized that like people are multidimensional on the show and have real lives. But before that, it was 100% just characters and drama. And that's all most people care about. You can't fault them for that.
Steve obviously is critical of the franchise. So I kind of like, listen, what it ultimately turned into me sounding like I was defending the show because he was criticizing the show. The truth, like, and I don't agree with a lot of things he said, and I have obviously a very nuanced point of view because I've been vilified by the show, and I've been the Bachelor. I've been their quote unquote hero for episodes. So I see both sides, and so I try to kind of, when I talk about the show, I try to have a more well, let's look at all the angles type of thing. It's also harder for me coming from someone who's just whose criticism of the show, I would say he's guilty of the very things of doing some of these things. And when I was listening to him and I had him on, I didn't know he did what he did to Jenna. So like, I'm listening.
That was our other side of it. Me and Jess were talking about it today, and we're like, well, on one hand, like it, people want it, but on the other hand, he talks with the Jenna thing, extreme certainty, like I know, and people trust Reality Steve's word. And so basically, like, I mean, that ruined her life for that period of time. I can't imagine. I was on the other end of it, trusting what he was saying and going for her. It's fucked up.
And there's a couple, like, and when you say that period of time, it still affects her to this day. I think that's a safe assumption. I even briefly DM'd her afterwards, and she made mention of like, it's,
That's dramatic.
I still have baggage from the show, like it stays with you. And it is like you said, it is a traumatic experience. And so it's frustrating because you're right. Like everyone heard about that story because it was hot off the press in terms of coming off the season. And no one heard about it when she redeemed herself unless you listened to him, right? And that wasn't mainstream news, and that's often the case, right? When the accusations come out, everyone hears about it. When you're vindicated, it's like back page news.
Sure.
And so that part is frustrating. Anyways, that was kind of the premise of it, and my hope was to get him to ignite, and I've said to him privately, it's like, hey man, you're going to do what you're going to do, but I just hope that you care. And if you didn't recognize before, that you realize that you do cause a lot of people's lives a lot of stress and unnecessary mental health. And like, if you don't care, that's fine. If you want to keep doing what you're doing and say, well, hey, you signed up for it, then just own that. But if you do care, if you want to say you want to do these things and refer to yourself as a journalist and verify sources the way, when you work for the LA Times or the New York Post, you have a lot of people, your editors and lawyers. And when you put out information that can ruin someone's life, if it's incorrect, there's a lot of people that make you double check, triple check. He answers to his fans.
I mean, I feel like that stuff could actually put you in like, I know people always throw around the whole defamation thing, but like what he does, he could actually like have a lawsuit on his hands if it goes too
Sure.
far.
I mean, again,
like
I don't know
100%.
Jenna. Yeah, I don't know. And like sometimes you just want it to go away. Again, when he put the stuff out about me that I know he knew was false, you know, but then he left it up for a year, and it's probably because he still thought it was true. You know, when I mean true is like, well, that might have been false. What she was saying, he still believed was true. You know, whether, you know, it's just frustrating. But anyways, it was just kind of fascinating just because, like, you know, when we ended the conversation, he was all excited and we were like, hey, thanks for coming on. It wasn't like it's not like we've had this like confrontation, but it was an interesting, I would have done things different. Like I said, I think I would have been, I wouldn't have wasted time arguing about the show. And then kept things focused, or just not have it, you know, in a sense that I don't think my audience is interested in two grown men arguing about TV.
Yeah. No, I mean,
yeah, it was an interesting lesson.
So broads, I don't know what it is recently, but this mama has been getting into some heavy rom-com watching. It's not typically so much of my my jam, but here I am. I don't know. They've been making me feel better, and I've been watching a lot of rom-coms. And whenever I watch a rom-com, I have my glass of wine. And the other night, I finished my glass of wine, and I thought, hey, I'm going to pour another one. Until I realized that the bottle was empty, and I didn't have another on hand, or so I thought, because after a few seconds of panic, okay, not panic, but definitely disappointment, I remembered that I had more bottles in the fridge thanks to my First Leaf wine subscription box that had just been delivered. And thank goodness for that, because after all, watching a rom-com without a glass of wine just feels wrong to me. I don't know. Matthew and Kate feel lonely without that wine. That's why I strongly suggest checking out my wine superhero, First Leaf Wine Club. The broads love First Leaf Wine Club, by the way. If you haven't tried it, you must. First Leaf Wine Club is our favorite wine club because they make it so easy. You'll start out by taking a quick quiz so they can get an understanding of your taste preferences based on things like what type of food you enjoy and what, if any, wine brands that you might currently be drinking. Then they take those results and send you 6 expertly picked bottles based on your answers, and with each one you get, you'll be able to provide feedback to First Leaf so they can tweak your shipments in the future to give you the perfect 6-pack of wine. And I'm telling you, it gets perfect. It starts great. It gets even better. Is it possible? With First Leaf, it is. And if 6 bottles sounds like too many or maybe too few, the subscription plans are super flexible. You choose when and how often those shipments come, and their inventory is amazing and growing more each month. I'm loving the variety of whites I've gotten recently. They've been so perfect for this warm summer. They're mostly Chardonnay because that's just what your girl does. I'm a Chardonnay queen. And they're so good. Plus, First Leaf has a 100% satisfaction guarantee. If you receive a bottle you aren't into, First Leaf will cover the cost because they are that amazing. So sign up today to get 6 bottles of wine for only $29.95 plus free shipping. Okay, hold the phone for 1 second. Let me explain something to you. The bottles of wine that they're sending are pretty much about $20 a bottle. Like, these are nice wines. And so you can get 6 bottles of wine today for under $30 plus free shipping. That's an insane deal. Okay. I wish that I could just start First Leaf over again and get that deal. But you can. So sign up today to get 6 bottles of wine for only $29.95 plus free shipping. Just go to tryfirstleaf.com/chatty. That's 6 bottles of wine for only $29.95 plus free shipping at tryfirstleaf.com/chatty. All of our broads love it. We get tagged in First Leaf Insta stories from all of you all the time. Keep tagging. We love seeing them, and enjoy it, First Leaf. Well, speaking of enjoying, a lot of us are looking for ways to spend our free time right now that is engaging, but not like writing the next great American novel level of engaging. Of course, if that is how you are spending your free time, more power to you. But personally, I've been obsessed with Best Fiends as a way to give my brain a break and spend some of my free time in a way that I really enjoy. Best Fiends is a unique and exciting puzzle game unlike any other game out there. As you go through the game solving puzzles, you collect these cute little characters. I just love them. They're adorable. And also, it's not a super intense game that requires hours of commitment. You can play just for a few minutes if you want to a week, and you still have so much fun. And you don't have to be a gamer. I'm not a huge gamer, and so I wasn't sure how I'd feel about this. I was able to figure it out, and I love doing it. Love Best Fiends. Well, I actually just started challenging my friends to games, which has actually helped us stay connected in a new way because I am definitely suffering from Zoom fatigue. But Best Fiends gives us an exciting and different way to have fun together from afar. It's been a wonderful experience. Another awesome thing about Best Fiends is it doesn't require any internet to play. It's perfect for those unexpected times when you want to fight off a little bit of boredom, but maybe don't have any internet. So Best Fiends has thousands of levels already with new levels, events, and characters added every month. It's hours of fun right at your fingertips, and you can even play offline, like I said, with over 100 million downloads, 100 million downloads, and tons of 5-star reviews. Best Fiends is a must play. Download Best Fiends for free on the Apple App Store or Google Play. That's friends without the R, by the way, broads. Best Fiends. Download it for free on the Apple App Store or Google Play.
We actually have to wrap this up soon because I am my breasts are about to explode.
We were going to do an Allie recap. Can we do a quick Allie recap?
Sure, let's just talk about...
Yeah, I didn't watch this whole damn thing this morning for no reason, ladies.
I know. I watched it. I know. We all watched it last night, too. I don't want to hear complaints from you. We have kids, okay? We watched it, too. Gave up 2 hours of our lives. Can we just please talk about... Let's talk about... Who is there to talk about? We already covered Casey.
We chatted a little bit about
from my
Casey.
hometown, by the way, who I have a photo with.
The wrestler? No, dude.
No, Casey, to guard and protect her
the
heart.
Tattoo.
Yeah,
oh my God. Wow. Yeah.
Iconic,
I mean, this
right?
was kind of... What would you do if a guy started singing to you on a date?
Like that?
Yeah, just start singing. And I tell you what, he seemed pretty damn earnest.
He was very confident. Honestly, if someone looked at me that earnestly, I would want to die, but I would just start singing with him because I'd be like, I can't. I would do this by yourself.
I would try to make a joke of it and I would be like, yeah, let's go. Okay. All right. You have to, because I also would want to assume that they were joking because the thought of someone singing to me like that seriously is like the worst thing I can imagine.
It's an actual nightmare. It's an actual nightmare. But also them running through the museum and he was like practically chasing her with like the light and scaring her. And I remember watching the season and that episode feeling frightened the entire time.
Nick, have you ever had a girl sing to you? Because I feel like we don't hear this so much on the other end.
Sing to me? No. Like I've dated women who like are getting ready and sing and they have good voices. And I'm like, wow. Pretty cool.
But like they haven't held your hands and looked into your eyes and
on a picnic and be like, I wrote this for you.
I would fucking die.
This is so unfair. This is sexist. Why don't men have to deal with this? Because that is the worst.
It's the worst feeling ever.
All right, easy with the...
I mean, that is just... It is the... I've had it happen once to me.
You had a guy do that.
Sing to me? Yeah, not his was particularly bad because he's like, that you inspire me. That just came to me.
It was an original. Okay, that's a whole different, like an on the spot impromptu original.
Something about there wasn't any. He didn't. It was acoustic.
Yeah.
Acapella. I mean.
Yeah.
Dear God, that was horrible. But I had someone like write a song for me, a boyfriend in high school who like performed it on his guitar for me. I'm sure you have.
Yeah. I mean, Evan has written music for me before, but that was more beautiful because it was well done. And he like gave me it on a CD so that I didn't have to look at him while the song about me was playing. But I also have had a man sing to me a cappella in front of people a song that he wrote about me. And it was one of the worst moments of my entire life. And I'm haunted by it to this day. You know what? I actually had a boyfriend do a song for me too, but he did the same thing where he like had it produced on his computer and he played it on his computer for me. Yeah, that's nice.
It made me cry. It was so sweet, you know? And especially when you hear a fully produced song that has your name in it and stuff. That's special.
Then that's special. But in the moment, no.
That was wild. And he's like a tattoo. Like guard your heart and soul.
Did you have why can't I think of his actual name?
Casey?
No, the producer he goes by Banana, and I can't think of what his actual name is.
Adam?
Yeah, Adam. Thank you. I think Adam was the one who took him to get the tattoo. And I remember talking to Adam about it. And he was like, we found the one tattoo shop that was open. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning. We had been drinking and I took him right there to get that tattoo. And I was saying earlier to Jess, I was like, what a producer's dream. He's like, I want to get a tattoo for her. And you're like, yep, I'm looking on Yelp right now. What is open? Okay, let's get a car. Let's go. I love it.
Do you blame the show for that? Here's my question, because like
no, he's a fucking weirdo. Obviously,
no, he wanted the tattoo.
I'm just saying, people could sit there and criticize the show. I'm just throwing it out there.
No.
Of
exploiting
it, right?
I mean, look
exploiting
at him,
these
because he loves the tattoo.
I know, he loves it.
He does, right? That's the thing.
He does the tattoo. He added on to it for his wife.
A friend in that situation might go, bro, maybe not the right choice.
Maybe not his friends.
In that world, like I've always said, what the producers never tell you something's a bad idea. Everything is an amazing idea.
That is so true. And everyone falls victim to it.
But also, don't we all have that friend in our life? Like I have a friend in my life who tells me everything I do is a good idea, and I get into tons of shit because of it, but I have a good time with her.
No,
do you know what the difference is though? This is the difference, because you might have a friend that's a yes man, but the producers will also be the yes man who's also suggesting and pointing you in the direction of like, I was thinking, what if you did this? I think that's a really good idea. You guys have something super special and you're like, yeah, I'm going to do that. Like,
no, listen, here's a perfect analogy. It's just like if you're thinking about buying a boat, which some would argue is a terrible investment, but there can be a lot of fun.
Yes.
And a lot of times
can you talk to my dad, please?
You go to certain friends and they go, hey, listen, man, like as much as I'd want you to buy a boat, I don't know if it's a good investment. It seems like it's a little out of your budget. Let's just go rent a boat for a couple times.
Yeah.
And it's fine.
Yeah.
The producer is the friend who you suggest, maybe I'm getting a boat. And before you know it, you don't just buy the boat that you were thinking about. You get a boat like 4 times out of your price range. It's got all the bells and whistles. You know, you have
and they're
no business.
Also like, I have a friend who's selling this boat right now. Let's go to his house today and check out this boat. You're going to love it.
And you're fucking thrilled. You're like, you're excited about it. You're like, I can't believe I bought this. This is so cool.
And then they hand you a captain uniform too. And they're like, you should wear this when you're on the boat with the hat.
Fuck yeah. And you're like, call me captain when you step on my boat. And they're like, I will call you captain. And they salute you and like... I mean, but it was your idea, you know?
Yes, that's so true. That is so true. Do you have a moment that was the most like that for you on any of the seasons? Can you think of anything in particular where you're like, I should not have done that?
But that's the thing. There's nothing that crazy. A lot of it is just like little things like, you know, it's music and things like that, you know?
Yeah.
Writing a poem and like, like a lot of stuff I like doing. I'm still the only guy to buy a girl flowers on his own and have them delivered to the Bachelorette. Like now did the producers deliver those flowers when she was talking to another guy and made it a thing? Of course. It's like, but like,
see, that's the perfect example though.
Yes.
Just gotta add a little spice or else it's gonna be a boring TV
I mean,
show.
whatever. Yeah. I mean, just like, man. So yes, but,
I also had producers though intervene for me when I was going to do cringy things.
Oh, really?
I will say this.
They do. Yeah.
Some people they're really looking out for. I felt like I had some guardian angels in the producers where I was like
on your way.
I was like, I'm going to do this. And they're like, you know, actually, we're about to sit down and have lunch right now. Like,
yeah.
Come on back.
Yeah,
I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, like listen, you got to know that you might play a certain character, and if like you went in, I think they wanted you to be well liked, you know, and
not at first. They were trying to stir up some shit, but we'll get into that on our Patreon in 3 months.
There you go. Well, what they are is just collecting content.
Yes.
Now, who they didn't stir up and it ends up being fully true was rated R, Justin. Like that, when we got the interview with him later.
Oh, he was so proud of his escape route.
I mean,
he was like, they tried to stop me. And I went through the bushes. That was insane.
So
Yeah,
Rated R was, if you didn't watch the Allie recap, he was the professional wrestler and all the guys were after him. Well, turns out he had a girlfriend on the show and was sending her voicemails. Or by the way, I love this, how when Rated R was chatting with Chris, he was like, oh, well, you guys missed the one phone. It was in the bathroom. And so he was making calls in the hotel from the bathroom.
He thought he was so clever.
It was kind of wild that they had all the saved voicemails.
All the saved voicemails.
That was crazy.
And that just fell into the palms.
I don't even believe... I used to work with Frank's ex-girlfriend.
Really?
Oh my gosh.
At Salesforce. And I'll be honest, I don't know. It sounds like Frank also went into the Bachelorette with a girlfriend. You know, we broke up. We were together. I don't know.
Well,
his new wife looks a hell of a lot like his ex-girlfriend. I'm sure he's heard that before.
T.
Major T. I was deeply in love with Frank during the airing of the show.
I could see it.
Really?
Oh yeah. Okay. Frank is my rebound guy. Like, he's the type of guy that I always rebound with.
It just seemed so obvious watching it this time around, like how he was just not into Allie. To me, it seemed that way, at least.
I mean, they did hooked up later.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I mean, Blair, here's my guess is like, yes, the fact that he left for another girl means he probably was never that into her.
I mean, I was shocked that it was shocking that he didn't really he could have been so villainized. He went to Chicago to see the ex-girlfriend before coming to Allie. That was rocking my world.
Well,
yeah, because in that world, usually your feelings get escalated for someone. So the fact that he left, usually would tell me that he wasn't that into it.
He just reminded me so much now watching back as like a grown human and not as young as I was, even though I guess I was like 20. But I was very starry-eyed for him because he was one of those guys. He was so LA to me, like comes out from Chicago, wants to be a writer. He's like quits his job and he's got the sparkly eyes and he tells you everything you want to hear. And his like energy is like magnet. Like, it's just like, oh my God.
Paris.
Yeah. When he's like laying like by the Hollywood sign and like looking up at her, you're like, oh God, yeah, I fall in love with that guy all the time. But it's always a wrong choice because Frank seems like the type of guy who it's like, well, once it gets boring, he's out. It's like he likes the excitement. And then obviously he had someone else that he then said to Chris later that he was seeing right before he left.
I think she would have picked, I remember, I've talked to Allie a few times. I think she would have picked him had he not left.
Damn.
I mean,
she ended up like dating that Roberto guy for 2 years.
A while.
Yeah, they were together. But now when she brought up to Chris that her husband now looks so much like Frank.
Awkward.
He's a good guy too. I also love watching these old ones back because it just looks like an ad out of Express Men.
Like 100%. I was like, and the Rockin' Republic jeans. I was noting all the different brands of their jeans.
Terrible. Like everything's just baggy and what a gross.
So many Oakleys, so many aviator sunglasses.
Oh my God.
So many backwards hats.
Spiked hair. Yeah, that was like it's like was this like 1994 or 2010?
I know.
I'm like 2010. That feels like yesterday to me.
Ago. I was in high school.
Like what? But still, like the fashion just seems really, I don't know.
Super dated, right? And it just makes I think I look so cool in all my outfits now. And I'm just like, God, I'm going to look like such an idiot 8 years from now looking back on myself. It's so bizarre, isn't it? We always think we look so hot in the moment. I remember in 2010 thinking I looked like the shit.
Oh, yeah. With my fedora.
I had my juicy, that's a little past the juicy tracksuit phase, but just on the tail end of it.
Oh, but okay, I do have to say, back to the Rated R moment, the escape route, okay?
With the boot,
it was one of my
over the fountains.
It was one of my most favorite scenes in like Bachelor history. And now knowing
he's escaping in a boot.
He's escaping in a boot, and the entrance is the same as the exit. To know now that he was hiding behind a curtain and he lost the producers for a minute, like I just pictured the boot underneath the curtain.
Proud of himself. He's like, and they're going through the different floors trying to find me.
But also, he also never had the wherewithal to take his mic off.
I know.
And he's like,
and I love how he's like, I'm in my room. I grab my passport and my wallet. I'm prepared. I'm always prepared. And Chris is like trying to stifle back laugh.
He walks so Colton could run.
It was just the idea that Allie just goes directly in to the men's like hotel room, and the second she confronts him, he pushes abort mission and he like throws himself out of the helicopter. There's not a word. The fact that he just gets up and walks out without saying anything was so legendary. And then when he's trying to escape and he goes up to the restaurant and like the waiter is like, we're closed.
No, sir.
He's like, dang it. And he's just wandering around, and then he has to confront Allie. Oh, incredible television. It was fantastic.
A good season.
I didn't watch it live, but it was wild to go back and see it. I've known Allie for a long time, but I didn't see her season when it was airing.
It was great.
She was so I loved her as a Bachelorette. She was so wonderful.
For her watching this recap back, I was like, what a bunch of buffoons! Like that, she's just like just being nice to
Roberto though, and then Chris. Chris, who was second, was wonderful,
and so was
she
did actually have good guys. But I was just watching her when they were showing the beginning where the guys are trying to like entertain her and crack jokes, and she's just like, and I got kind of sad. I was just like, oh, like this is the female experience. Like she's so much better than most of these guys, and she's just like, yeah. Oh, this made me sad for some reason.
Listen to Casey's originals.
I know, and just like smile and be polite. Like, oh gosh. Other than that, good season.
I know. I really enjoyed it actually.
Well, Nick, thank you so much.
We're sorry we made you watch that, but there was just. We sat down.
Listen, I'm happy to chat with you ladies regardless about whatever.
We sat down this morning and we're like, there's too much to cover. Like there is too much stirring in Bachelor Nation right now. We have to chat with you about it.
It'll be interesting by the time this airs what we know or don't know about Claire.
2 days could change everything.
Yeah, let's make that asterisk, by the way, broads. This is being recorded a few days before it's released, so don't come for us if some news drops.
Usual.
But Nick, thank you so much. And remember, broads, we're going to have all the links in the episode notes for Nick's Patreon. And again, highly recommend. It's very entertaining, full of tea. And
I'm stoked to dive into those episodes coming out on September 1st.
Thank you. It's a lot of fun. And you ladies will have to come back for an Ask Nick episode one of these days.
You bet.
Anytime. I'm going to give the shittiest advice I can think of.
Always fun talking with you, broads. Can I say broads?
Yeah.
Yes.
Am I allowed? Can the guy say broads? I don't know.
In this house, you
honestly, 2020, like I get anxiety. I was like, I posted a picture with my mom, and obviously, she's 61, she looks good, and I did that whole like it's 2020 joke, and for like 15 minutes, I was like, well, am I age shaming her? I was like, fucking I want to be like, I want to.
Like, I want to be progressive. I want to be on top of it, but I just don't know anymore. I question everything. Man,
like, I don't, because there's always one person in your DM who's just like, you're like, what are you talking about?
You're like, is this a classist thing? I'm saying she doesn't have wrinkles and she looks good.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
It's like, what am I saying for people who might have a wrinkle? It's just like,
you're just looking in the mirror after like a single tear and you're like, I tried my best.
Well, thank God that people seem to like it and no one had an objection. But like seriously, for like 20 minutes, I was like, I don't know.
Dripping sweat.
I'm just not gonna post anything.
Oh man.
Well, you can say broads in this house because it's the Broad Squad.
Yes,
okay.
And Nick, we love you. Thanks for coming on.
And with that, chat soon, broads.
Chat soon, broads.
Good.